The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. Retold by Virginia Evans and Jenny Dooley. An Express Publishing Showtime reader at Level 4. A Good Friend. A merchant called Antonio lived in Venice. He had plenty of money, but he was not a very happy person. He was very kind, however, and many people turned to him for help when they were in trouble. He was always willing to lend people money when they needed it. People were happy to borrow money from Antonio because he never charged them interest. The people of Venice liked and respected Antonio, but his best friend of all was Bassanio. Bassanio was younger than Antonio and came from a good family. He did not have much money, but he had expensive tastes. Antonio was always happy to lend Bassanio money whenever he needed it. Bassanio had borrowed a lot of money from his friend over the years, but Antonio did not mind. Anything Bassanio wanted, Antonio would give him. The only person that Antonio did not get on with was Shylock, the moneylender. Shylock's job was to lend people money, and he charged them interest because he had to make a profit. People did not like paying interest, so they often borrowed money from Antonio instead of Shylock. Naturally, this made Shylock angry. Antonio thought that it was wrong to charge interest. They did not like each other at all. Whenever they met, they argued. One morning, Antonio was walking by the canal when he met his friend Bassanio.
Antonio, my friend, I must ask for your help again,
Bassanio said.
Of course,
Replied Antonio.
you know I will help in any way I can.
I know I've borrowed a lot of money already,
Bassanio said.
but now I have a plan. If it succeeds, I will be able to pay you all I owe.
Antonio smiled. He knew his friend had met a beautiful woman.
Please tell me all about your plan.
He said.
In Belmont, there is a very wealthy lady.
Bassanio said.
Her name is Portia. She is beautiful, and I know she loves me.
But do you love her too?
Antonio asked.
Oh yes, I do. I want to marry her.
Bassanio replied.
That's why I need to borrow money. I want to go to Belmont to propose. When we marry, I will be very rich. I will pay you back everything I owe.
Oh, Bassanio, I am not worried about that.
Antonio said sadly.
But at this moment I have no money to give. All the ships I own are at sea, and I have no money until they return.
Oh, I see. Of course, I understand.
Bassanio said. He tried to smile because he didn't want his friend to see how sad he was.
But I want to help you, and I will.
Said Antonio more cheerfully.
You can use my name to borrow from a moneylender. Let us go and see what we can find.
A dangerous agreement. Antonio and Bassanio went to see Shylock.
So, you want to borrow 3,000 ducats?
Said Shylock.
That's right, and we want it for 3 months.
Said Bassanio.
My friend Antonio will help me pay it back.
But why does Antonio not give you the money now?
Asked Shylock.
All my money depends on my ships at sea.
Explained Antonio.
I will have money as soon as they return.
But that means your money is not safe.
Cried Shylock.
Storms might destroy your ships, or they might sink. They might be attacked by pirates who will steal everything.
Don't worry, you can trust my friend.
Said Bassanio.
Will you come and eat with us tonight? That way you can get to know him better.
I already know Antonio.
Said Shylock.
I will do business with him, but I will not eat with him.
Antonio and Bassanio looked at each other, but they did not say anything.
So, Shylock, can you lend us what we want?
Asked Antonio.
I do not usually lend or borrow with interest, but this time is different. I will borrow for my friend Bassanio.
Yes, you want to borrow from me now.
Said Shylock, looking straight at Antonio.
You are even willing to pay interest, is that right?
Yes, I will pay you interest if you want,
said Antonio. Shylock thought carefully. He remembered all the times Antonio had insulted him and laughed at him. Now, for the first time, Antonio wanted something from him. Antonio was in his power. He realized that this was his chance to get his own back. He looked at Antonio for a long time.
No, I do not want interest from you,
he said slowly.
But let us agree to a little joke. If you do not repay me what you owe, I can take a pound of your flesh from whatever part of your body that I want.
Why, yes, of course. I will agree to that,
said Antonio. Bassanio gasped.
No! Antonio! Don't do that for me,
he cried.
Don't worry, my dear friend Bassanio. My ships will return very, very soon, and then I will have 3 times what we have borrowed. Let Shylock have his little joke.
So, Antonio, will you sign this agreement?
Asked Shylock.
I will lend Bassanio 3,000 ducats. You will pay me back within 3 months. If your ships do not come back to port, and if you cannot pay me back the money, I can take a pound of flesh from you.
He put the agreement on the table and handed Antonio a pen.
I will gladly sign it for my friend,
said Antonio. He dipped the pen in the ink and signed his name. Jessica's escape. Jessica was sitting at her writing desk. She was writing a letter to Lorenzo, and from time to time she sighed. She looked up when Lancelot came into the room and smiled. For her, Lancelot was more like a friend than a servant.
Oh, Lancelot, I am very glad to see you,
she said.
I am so tired of living in this house. Nothing ever happens, and my father is strict.
She sighed again. She did not like her father very much. She knew that nobody in Venice liked him. This was because he lent money with interest, but also because they thought Shylock was mean and greedy. He seemed to love money more than people, and more than anything else in the world.
I want you to take this letter to Lorenzo,
she said.
But do not tell anybody about it.
Of course, my lady,
said Lancelot.
I will keep it a secret.
He put the letter in his pocket.
With this letter, you are helping me to escape,
Jessica said.
I am going to marry Lorenzo as soon as I can. And in this letter, I tell him about my plan. Soon, Lorenzo and I will be together, and I can forget all about this house. It's a terrible thing to be ashamed of your father, but I am. He is a horrible man, and I will be glad to leave him.
Lancelot left at once. He found Lorenzo, who was with his friends Gratiano, Salarino and Salanio. They were talking quietly together. Lancelot gave Lorenzo Jessica's letter. Lorenzo read it and smiled.
Tell Jessica that I will keep my promise,
he said.
But tell her in secret. No one else must hear.
Lancelot nodded and walked away quickly.
Tonight, Shylock will not be in his house,
Lorenzo told his friends.
Jessica will disguise herself as a boy, and she'll wait at home for us to come. She'll bring some of Shylock's gold and jewels. We'll have all the money we need, and we will sail with Bassanio when he leaves for Belmont.
That night, the four friends went quietly to Shylock's house. From her bedroom window, Jessica handed them down a box full of gold and jewels. Then she used a tree to climb down to the men waiting below. She could not look at Lorenzo.
I am embarrassed,
She said,
because I am wearing boys' clothes.
Don't worry, Jessica, my dear.
said Lorenzo.
I love you whatever clothes you're wearing.
It is true.
Said Jessica.
Love is blind, and lovers cannot see.
Now, my love, we must hurry. We haven't got much time.
Said Lorenzo.
Bassanio's ship is sailing very soon.
The test. Portia's father had known that many men would want to marry her because she was both beautiful and rich. Before he died, he designed a test that only the perfect husband could pass. There were 3 boxes. The first box was gold, the second was silver, and the third was lead. The right box had a picture of Portia inside. Portia was sitting with Nerissa.
Oh, Nerissa,
She said,
I wish I could find the right man to marry.
But my lady,
Nerissa said.
there are many men who want to marry you.
I don't love any of these men.
Portia said sadly.
I want to be able to choose my own husband, but I cannot because of my father's test.
You know you must do what your father asked.
Said Nerissa.
He was a very wise and loving man. Only the man who loves you will pass the test, and this man will be the man you love.
But I already know the man I love.
Said Portia.
You know him too. His name is Bassanio. And, you know, I think he loves me too.
Then, if he tries, he will pass the test.
Said Nerissa calmly.
But first, the Prince of Morocco wants to try.
Said Portia.
And after him, the Prince of Aragon.
The Prince of Morocco arrived with his friends and servants. Portia brought him into the room with the 3 boxes.
You know, Prince,
Said Portia.
if you choose the wrong box, you can never marry, and you can never see me again.
Yes, I know, but I still want to try.
Said the prince. He went up to the 3 boxes and slowly read the writing on each one.
I will choose the gold box.
He said.
This is what it says. The man who chooses me will have what many men want. Many men want Portia, so this must be the right box.
He opened the gold box slowly. There was a piece of paper inside with these words written on it. All that glitters is not gold. Often have you heard that told.
I have chosen the wrong box. Goodbye, my lady.
He said, and left the room. Portia smiled.
That is good.
She said.
But here is the Prince of Aragon.
The Prince of Aragon looked at each box carefully.
The silver box must be the right one.
He said, smiling at Portia.
It says, the man who chooses me will have what he deserves. I am sure that I deserve you, Portia.
He opened the silver box and found the picture of a clown.
What is this? Is this what I deserve?
He cried. Portia said nothing, and the Prince of Aragon left quickly. The perfect choice. As the Prince of Aragon was leaving Portia's house, Bassanio arrived with Graciano, Lorenzo, and Jessica. Bassanio was very happy to see Portia, and he wanted to do the test as soon as possible.
Oh, Bassanio, please, wait for a few days.
Portia said.
Do not try to pass the test today. I would like to spend some time with you, and if you fail the test, you will have to go.
Don't worry about the test, my dear,
said Bassanio.
I love you, and I'm the right man for you.
Portia sighed, but brought Bassanio into the room with the 3 boxes. He looked at them carefully and read the writing on each one. He looked up at Portia and smiled.
I'm going to choose the lead box,
he said.
It says, the man who chooses me must give and risk everything he owns. I will give and risk everything for you, Portia.
He opened the lead box. Portia held her breath.
I have found your picture, Portia. I have found it.
Bassanio said very quietly.
I love you dearly. Will you marry me?
Yes, yes, Bassanio, I will marry you.
Portia said.
I'm so happy that you will be my husband, the husband that I've always wanted. Take this ring, and know that I will love you forever.
Portia took a ring off her finger and handed it to Bassanio.
I will always wear this ring. I will never take it off,
Bassanio said, putting the ring on his finger. He looked up as Nerissa and Graciano came to join them.
My lord and lady, I wish you every happiness,
said Nerissa.
and we want to tell you that we are happy too.
I wish you all the joy that you can wish.
Graciano said.
And when you get married, I would like to get married also.
Of course, Graciano.
Bassanio said, surprised.
If you can find a wife.
I have found a wife, and here she is. Nerissa and I wish to marry too.
Is this true, Nerissa?
Portia asked.
Yes, it is, my lady,
replied Nerissa.
Then we hope that you will be very happy,
said Portia.
Yes, and we can all get married on the same day,
said Bassanio. They were all very happy. Nerissa gave a ring to Graciano and told him never to take it off. He promised her he would always keep it on his finger. Trouble for Antonio. Back in Venice, Shylock was very angry when he found out that Jessica had run away with Lorenzo. He didn't like Lorenzo because Lorenzo was Antonio's friend. When he found out that a lot of his gold and some jewels were missing too, he became even more angry.
How could my own daughter do such a thing?
He cried.
Oh, my daughter! Oh, my gold and jewels!
He decided to go out and try to get some news of Jessica. He met Salarino and Salanio walking by the canal.
Where is my daughter? I know you know where she is!
He cried.
Your daughter? I don't know what you mean,
said Salarino, pretending he didn't know anything about it.
You both probably helped her escape with Lorenzo.
Shylock growled.
She is gone, taking lots of my money and jewels. How could my own flesh and blood do that?
It's hard to believe Jessica is your flesh and blood,
Salanio said.
You're both so different. She is not like you at all.
How can you say that? She is my daughter!
Shylock shouted.
Not anymore. She's Lorenzo's wife.
Salarino whispered to Salanio. They both laughed.
But tell us, Shylock,
said Salanio.
Have you any news of Antonio's ships?
Yes, I have heard many were lost at sea,
said Shylock.
I hope Antonio is ready to keep his word.
Surely you don't mean you'll take a pound of his flesh?
Said Salarino.
Of course I will. And it is the law too,
said Shylock.
But what will you do with a pound of Antonio's flesh?
Asked Salanio.
If I cannot use it for anything else, I will use it to catch fish when I go fishing,
Shylock said.
I cannot believe, Shylock, that you are serious,
said Salarino.
I am very serious, and do you know why?
Said Shylock.
Antonio laughs at me, but takes my money. He also helps his friend to steal my daughter. He says I am bad because I charge interest for loans. But I am just working. I have to make a living. He has hurt me. And now I want revenge.
Shylock walked away, and the two friends looked at each other. They were very worried about Antonio. Portia's plan. In Belmont, Bassanio and Portia got married, and so did Graciano and Nerissa. One day, Bassanio received a letter from Antonio. Portia watched him as he read it and saw his face turn white.
There must be very bad news in that letter,
She said to Nerissa.
Oh, Portia, this is from my friend Antonio.
Bassanio said in a worried voice.
He is in very serious trouble.
Then we must help him all we can.
Portia said, putting her hand on Bassanio's arm.
Anything I can do to help, I will.
Thank you, my love. But now I must explain,
said Bassanio. Bassanio told Portia how he and Antonio had borrowed money from Shylock. He explained about the pound of flesh.
Antonio says his ships are lost at sea,
Bassanio said.
He can't pay Shylock's money back, and now Shylock wants his pound of flesh.
My dear, you must go to him at once,
said Portia.
I'll give you the money to pay Shylock. Do not let him hurt Antonio because of you.
Thank you, my dear, but I'm still very worried,
said Bassanio.
I will go at once and take Graciano with me.
Bassanio and Graciano got ready as quickly as they could and set sail for Venice. As soon as they'd left, Portia sat down and wrote a letter to her cousin, Dr. Bellario, who was a doctor of law. She told him about Antonio and Shylock's agreement and asked him for advice. She then called one of her servants and asked him to deliver the letter as quickly as possible.
Dr. Bellario will give you books, papers, and clothes.
Portia told her servant.
You must bring all these to me in Venice.
I will do exactly as you tell me,
the servant said, and hurried away.
Come, Nerissa, we have work to do,
Portia said to her maid.
We will see our husbands very soon.
Really, my lady? And will they see us?
Nerissa asked.
They will see us, but they will not know us.
Portia said with a smile.
Because we'll be disguised as young men.
Young men, my lady? I do not understand,
Nerissa said.
We will leave for Venice very soon,
Portia said.
There, we'll put on my cousin Bellario's clothes. We'll be disguised as young lawyers. I must try to save Bassanio's friend.
The trial. In Venice, Antonio's trial was taking place in the court. The judge, the Duke of Venice, was talking to Antonio.
You have made a terrible enemy, Antonio,
he said.
Shylock is not able to be kind.
I do not know why I should be kind,
Shylock said.
We had an agreement, and now I want my payment.
But Antonio can give you the money now,
said the Duke.
I do not understand why you will not take it.
Antonio has been unkind and cruel to me,
snarled Shylock.
Many times he has called me a dog. Now he knows I have teeth and can bite. And I will have my pound of flesh.
Shylock, I can give you twice the money,
Bassanio cried.
For 3,000 ducats. Here is 6.
If you offered 6 times 6,000, I would not take it.
Shylock replied slowly.
I will take a pound of Antonio's flesh.
Just then, Portia and Nerissa walked quickly into the court, disguised as young men. Portia spoke to the Duke in a loud voice.
My lord,
She said,
my name is Balthazar, and I am a lawyer. I have come from Bellario to defend the man Antonio. I know all the details of this case.
You are very welcome. Please speak to the court.
the Duke said.
The law of Venice is on Shylock's side.
Portia said.
If he wants, he can take his pound of flesh.
These are fine words, young man.
Shylock said.
Now I will have Antonio's heart.
No!
Cried Bassanio.
Oh, Antonio, I would give everything I have, even my wife, to save you.
Your wife would not be happy to hear that,
said Portia with a smile. Shylock was impatient.
Enough!
He shouted.
I am ready to take my payment.
Wait,
said Portia.
Take your pound of flesh. But you must take only flesh. You must not take any blood.
But that is not possible!
Shylock cried.
I cannot take his heart without taking blood!
Also, asking for a pound of flesh makes you a murderer.
Portia said.
You must give away all your money and pay for your crime with your life.
But this is not fair!
Shylock cried.
I did no wrong!
Wait,
said Antonio.
Let Shylock live. Let him keep half of his money and give the rest to his daughter Jessica.
Do you agree to this, Shylock?
Portia asked.
Yes, yes,
Shylock muttered.
What else can I do? Of course I agree.
He walked quietly out of the court with his head down. Portia's Trick. Everyone in the court was very happy. Bassanio and Antonio walked over to Portia and Nerissa. Gratiano was with them.
You saved my friend,
Bassanio said.
How can I ever thank you?
It is not necessary to thank me,
Portia said.
It is my job.
But I must pay you for saving my friend's life,
Bassanio said.
Here, please take this bag of gold.
No, I do not want your gold,
Portia said.
But let me give you some small thing,
said Bassanio.
So you can remember Antonio's trial in Venice.
Very well,
said Portia.
You can give me your ring.
I would give you anything except that.
Bassanio said.
This is my wedding ring, a gift from my wife. I promised her I would never take it off.
Portia smiled, and she and Nerissa left the court.
Bassanio, my friend, let him have the ring,
Antonio said.
He deserves it. Think of what he did. It is a very small payment for my life.
Antonio is right,
said Bassanio.
Gratiano, take this ring and give it to the lawyer with my thanks.
Bassanio took the ring off his finger and gave it to Gratiano, who ran after Portia and Nerissa. He stopped them and gave Portia the ring. Portia smiled when she saw it. Nerissa smiled too.
I will see if I can get my husband's ring,
she whispered to Portia.
Lord Gratiano, I am sure you are pleased with our work,
said Nerissa.
Do you want to thank me too?
Yes, of course.
Gratiano replied.
But what can I give you?
Your ring will be a good payment for me,
Nerissa said with a smile. Gratiano didn't know what to do. He didn't want to give away his wedding ring because he had promised Nerissa that he would never take it off. But he wanted to repay the young man. He took off the ring and gave it to Nerissa.
Please, take the ring, and all my thanks,
he said. When Gratiano had gone, Portia laughed.
Our husbands will tell us that they gave their rings to men,
she said.
See how easily they have broken their promises. Now I think we can have some fun with them.
A happy ending. Portia and Nerissa returned home to Belmont with their husbands' rings. Soon after, Bassanio and Gratiano arrived with Antonio. Antonio had heard that his ships were safe, and he was very happy.
You are very welcome home, my lord Bassanio,
Portia said.
My dearest Portia, I want you to meet Antonio,
Bassanio said.
This is the friend who put himself in danger so I could come to Belmont and ask you to marry me.
Sir, you are more welcome than I can say,
Portia said.
Gratiano!
Nerissa said suddenly.
Where is the ring that I gave to you?
My dear Nerissa, please forgive me.
Gratiano said.
I gave it to a young man.
You promised to wear that ring forever,
Nerissa said.
Gratiano, that was a terrible thing to do.
Portia said.
What can I tell Portia about my ring?
Bassanio said quietly to himself.
Perhaps I could cut off my hand and say I lost the ring in a fight.
I do not believe you gave the ring to a man. I think you gave it to another woman,
Nerissa said.
I did not give the ring to a woman.
Gratiano said to Nerissa.
Bassanio gave his ring to the lawyer who saved Antonio. I gave mine to the young man who was helping him.
Is this true, Bassanio?
Portia asked.
It is.
Bassanio replied.
I am so sorry, Portia, but this was the man who saved Antonio's life.
Then I am married to this lawyer.
Portia said with a smile.
After all, he is wearing my ring.
No, you are still my wife. Please, Portia.
Bassanio begged.
I will never break another promise to you again. I swear that upon my life.
And I swear upon my life that Bassanio will keep that promise. Please believe us, my dearest lady.
Antonio said.
Very well,
said Portia.
Antonio, take this ring and make sure Bassanio does not lose it this time.
She handed Antonio the ring.
But that's my ring. I don't understand,
said Bassanio, taking the ring from Antonio.
What's going on here?
Asked Gratiano as Nerissa handed him his ring.
Please, Portia, tell us.
Here is a letter from my cousin, Bellario,
Portia said.
He is a lawyer. It will explain everything.
Bassanio took the letter from Portia and read it. Gratiano and Antonio read the letter over Bassanio's shoulder.
So you were the lawyer, and I didn't know you,
Bassanio said to Portia.
And you were the young man who helped him, and I never knew,
said Gratiano to Nerissa.
We have the cleverest wives in the world, Gratiano,
said Bassanio, laughing.
It is true, and you must always remember it,
said Portia.